Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. My Karen wife is kicking out my daughter so she can turn her bedroom into an art studio. After that, am I the jerk for being honest with my son that I'm not proud of him regardless of his career? And after that, am I the jerk for scaring my boyfriend and his brother by going missing when they repeatedly left my friend and I behind on a hike? Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to kick anyone out. I already threw your stuff away, Reddit boy. You really don't have a reason to stay here. So please smash that like button. Wait, you threw my stuff away? And subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. My Karen wife is kicking out my daughter so she can turn her bedroom into an art studio. Our daughter is turning 18 in October. She's a great kid, always got straight A's, never in any type of trouble, and she's very respectful. My wife recently decided to have a talk with her about adult responsibilities. I had no knowledge of this conversation until my daughter came to me crying because she was scared about living on her own. I was confused at first. Then she told me her mother said she needs to start looking for a job because she'll be expected to get her own place after her birthday. I was appalled because we never discussed throwing her out at 18. When I confronted my wife, she said our daughter wasn't a kid anymore and needed our push to become an adult. I told her I was really baffled that she would exclude me from such a serious decision and conversation. I asked my wife, how does she expect our kid to make it on minimum wage, especially considering the rent is out of control in our area? She then informs me she had planned for us to pay half her rent until she was 20. I asked her why she wanted our kid gone so bad. As the argument intensified, I believe she slipped by saying she needed the space, her bedroom, for her art studio. I couldn't believe it. I told my wife if her hobby was more important than our daughter, she should be the one looking to rent. However, she took that as me saying move out, but that's not how I meant it. I was implying for her to rent more space for her studio and to leave our daughter alone. She didn't believe that's what I actually meant. She then gave me the silent treatment for 3 days. Our daughter, however, was still upset as she processed her mother wanting her to move out. She realized moving into a rental meant she had to leave her 2 cats behind. She's had these cats since she was a kid. That alone devastated her. She told me, I don't want to turn 18. I don't want to celebrate my birthday. I picked the argument back up with my wife at that point. I said, our daughter isn't moving out until she decides on her own terms because she is more important than you or your hobby. She looked stunned, and maybe in the heat of the moment, I didn't choose my words wisely. I couldn't bear to see our daughter so upset any longer. I don't want her struggling to make ends meet and not being able to follow her dreams. The last thing I want for her is to feel rushed. As far as my wife goes, she's not talking to me at all, and she's been cold towards our daughter. Not the jerk, your wife is. While 18 may very well be the age you become an adult, 18 is not the age where most people are prepared to live on their own. Your wife is absolutely the jerk because she should have had a conversation with you before arbitrarily making an absolutely asinine decision. It may be time to take a good hard look at your marriage. Putting an art studio ahead of your kids' welfare and well-being is ludicrous. Edit. OP, if you have not thought about planning for the unexpected, you should. Please make sure you have a will in place to protect your daughter. Life happens. Additionally, think about some therapy to help deal with any anxiety. Turning 18 should be a happy time for her. Not to mention, you don't stop being a parent when your kid is 18 or 20 or any other age. You should be there for your kid and they'll be there for you. If the daughter is kicked out to make space for an art studio, I doubt she'll feel good coming to her parents for help if she ever needs it. I definitely wouldn't. I was welcome back home when the lockdown started. I'm saving up to be actually independent and will be paying rent after I graduate. I'm currently paying for everything except basic food and shelter, car insurance, clothes, pet care, etc. And I fully expect to be there for my parents as they age too, just like they're here for me. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his wife? Please let us know. Bruh, it's 2022. I don't think anyone can afford to move out at 18 these days. Am I the jerk for being honest with my son that I'm not proud of him regardless of his career? My wife, Nina, and I became pregnant with our son, Jason, when we were both 20. We will admit it was an unplanned pregnancy, but we loved our son and kept him. We did our best to raise Jason to be kind, respectful, and treat others well, and we thought we succeeded. Jason worked hard to attend an elite university. Jason and his first wife, Sarah, had a daughter, Simone. Unfortunately, Sarah passed in an accident before Simone's 3rd birthday. Jason raised Simone until Simone was 4. At that time, he met his second wife and moved 2 hours away. Simone lives with us now. Jason visits once every 2 months at best. He and his wife would stay for the day, buy Simone a present, then Jason would say it was time to leave. Nina and I suspect he only visits and buys Simone the present because his wife makes him. His wife, Iris, is a lovely lady. She insists that Simone should move in with them or they should move closer to us because she wants to be Simone's stepmom and spend time with her. But Jason shoots the idea down because he says Simone moving in or them moving would hurt his career, and it's best Simone stay with Nina and me. Simone is 11 now, and she adores Jason. She makes drawings and cards for him, constantly bakes treats to send to him. It's devastating for her because her daddy is her hero, and he does not want to spend time with her. Her birthday was in July, and she cried when Jason did not call her to wish her a happy birthday. Iris tried lying to Simone to make her feel better that the phone lines were down and Jason did not forget, but Simone did not believe her. Simone is at summer camp all this week, and Jason invited us to a party to celebrate receiving a promotion. During the party, Jason told me how much more money he makes with this promotion and his job title and asked, "You should be proud of me, old man. With my new job and my elite university." I sighed and told Jason that I honestly have not been proud of him as of late. He has a well-paying job, but he treats his own daughter as if she doesn't matter. Simone loves him so much, and he doesn't even seem to care. Nina came back with the drinks, and Jason told her what I said. Nina told him that she agreed with me, and he does not treat Simone right. Most of the family says that I and Nina were in the wrong to tell Jason I was not proud of him. They said I should know how much that statement hurts at any age because I was never good enough in my own father's eyes. They said that Jason is probably focusing on stabilizing his career and Simone can move in with them after. They also said Jason's own promotional party was not the time or place to call him out, and I could have just congratulated Jason on working hard and saved the drama for another day. I feel what I said needed to be said, but most of the family is disagreeing with Nina and me. Am I the jerk? As many people have asked, Jason does pay child support. He believes because he pays child support that his responsibilities have been met. Jason told us he was attending therapy in the beginning, but we learned later he was being untruthful about it. Simone sees a child psychologist, but she seems to talk to the psychologist more about school and friends rather than Jason. Most of the comments have also suggested that Simone could resemble Sarah and cause too many bad memories for Jason. That could be possible, but Simone also does not resemble Sarah at all. Simone looks like a young version of Nina with lighter skin and slightly thicker hair. The issue seems to be that Jason does not want to be a parent to Simone. You told the well-deserved truth, and if that makes him upset, then he can go sit in syrup. I'm proud of you, not the jerk. He stopped being a real dad when she was 4, now she's 11, so he had 7 years to stabilize his career, and he doesn't even want to go to therapy. I lost someone close to me, and to me, it looks like he chooses to forget that part of his life after his wife passed instead of dealing with it. That's why he's such a bad father. His daughter is a reminder of what could have been and what he lost, so he cuts her off. He's harming himself and her and sets himself up for a lot of family drama. OP, as his parent, needs to give him a solid kick in the pants, so he starts going to therapy. Not the jerk. When you're raising your grandchild, oh boy, do you get to have all the opinions in the world regarding your kid. Yup. As for all those saying how much those words hurt coming from a parent, just wait until your kid wants no more to do with you because you left her behind when she needed you the most. Also, those words are coming from his parents who are actively parenting his kid. The kid who is actively hurting from his actions. The son's ego took a hit. He still all but abandoned his daughter to further his career. I don't care if he hasn't dealt with his grief or compartmentalized, or if his daughter does remind him of his first wife. That's still his kid. This isn't a situation where he could not provide for her. He's abandoning her for his new life. OP, not the jerk. I would have likely said much harsher things to my kids in this situation. Thanks for being good parents to that baby, OP. I'm sorry that you're in that position though. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or their son? Please let us know. The stories about the absent parents always make my heart break. Stop doing this to me, Reddit boy. Am I the jerk for scaring my boyfriend and his brother by going missing when they repeatedly left my friend and I behind on a hike? I had plans with my boyfriend Jack, his brother Tyler, and my friend Paula to go hiking last weekend. I had suggested an easier, flatter trail for us to hike since Paula isn't as experienced a hiker as the rest of us. I thought the plan was to just hike together and hang out and talk, but on the day of, we started at a normal pace and the guys just kept going faster. Paula was lagging behind, kind of out of breath, and I stuck with her. It irritated me because a huge rule of wilderness safety is to stay with your group because anything can happen when you're out there in the backcountry. They were stopping to wait every mile or so. We never knew where because they didn't say and nobody had cell service. But as soon as we caught up, they'd start going at top speed again, leaving us playing catch-up nonstop. I told Jack that I'd like them to stick with us, and he complained that we were too slow. The trail was too easy. They needed their workout. After the third time they ran off, Paula and I got to this viewpoint before the main peak. So we sat down to take our first breather in hours and vent. She joked that we should stop chasing and let them wonder. I suggested we just hang out at the viewpoint until the guys noticed or found us on the way back down. She pulled out something she had been planning on sharing at the top of the mountain, and we hung out and enjoyed it and ate our lunch. It was an hour and a half before the guys came back. We heard them before we saw them. They were sprinting down the trail, yelling our names. I called out, "Over here!" The guys came running to the viewpoint, and Paula was giggling at my attempt to yell. I got the giggles from her too. The guys confused our giggling for crying since we were both just kinda wheezing with laughter and were asking what happened. I was like, "We're okay. We've just been enjoying ourselves." Tyler got really mad at us, saying they had stopped off a half-mile from the summit to wait for us before making the final push. And after we didn't show up for an hour, they decided to turn back to look for us instead of the summit. And he was furious that we just stopped to do what we had done without telling them. I was like, "I thought we split up. Like, y'all were off doing your own thing all day." And my boyfriend raised his voice at me, telling me that you don't split up a group without communication. At that, Paula and I got the giggles again. Like, no duh. It was just funny how he was saying the same thing I'd been saying all day. For the rest of the hike, the guys were angry with us because we ruined their summit, making them turn back just because we didn't even try to keep up. Am I the jerk for going missing on a hike? Not the jerk. You told Jack and Tyler repeatedly what the issue was. They ignored you and did their own thing. You and Paula finally gave up trying to win a losing game. I hike. You adjust your route to fit the weakest hiker, not the strongest. Duh. The guys could have had their workout on a different day, different hike. Instead, they chose to abandon you and Paula over and over again. You didn't ruin anything, and I don't blame you a bit for taking care of yourselves. Trying to keep up with those two could have ended up with exhaustion or getting lost. Getting rescued isn't always free either. Your boyfriend and his pal foolishly, selfishly, and deservedly ruined their own trip. Not the jerk. I'm an experienced hiker with asthma, and the slowest person sets the pace, aka me. If the guys wanted a workout, they should have said so in the planning stage, not on the trail with a friend who physically can't keep up. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her boyfriend? Please let us know. Horrible district manager suggests I seek employment elsewhere after I call her out on her BS. I managed a small, franchised-owned beauty salon. It was my first management role I've ever taken on. I built the salon up after a low period. I was well respected by my staff because I was an empathetic listener and understood the needs of my staff. District manager was anything but that. She was originally hired on as a manager of a new location in our district that was set to open a month after her original hire date. She somehow convinced our franchise owners that she'd be a perfect fit for the role of district manager and was promoted quickly. At first, I did not see my district manager all that much. Remember that new location that was opening up? Well, she would tell me that she was over at that location getting things in order to be ready by the opening date. I took her word for it and managed to run my location just fine without her guidance, even though I was new to management myself. After that location was good to go, she would promise me that she would spend a day with me at my location, and when that day would come around, I would get the, "Oh, something came up at another location," text from her. I was starting to get a little suspicious. In the meantime, a new manager was hired on at another location in our district. This woman became my mentor, as she has years of experience in the industry. District manager, as part of her job duties, was supposed to train this new manager on her role. District manager gave this woman the runaround too. "Oh, I'll be here today," and then later a text message of, "Something came up at another location." Little did district manager know that us location managers were talking to one another and quickly realized that this woman is sitting at home while collecting a paycheck. Our franchise owners, too, quickly began to realize what this horrible district manager was doing. However, they were reluctant to fire her because they had no solid evidence of what she was doing. District manager caught on that her job was on the line and really started to throw her weight around. She fired multiple employees at all locations who had no previous write-ups. These particular employees were ones who saw her BS and weren't afraid to stand up for themselves. She started enforcing purposeless tasks onto us managers. Soon enough, turnover was high at each location. Even some long-term employees left after she started to show up more. Now for the malicious compliance. Eventually, I had enough of putting up with her crap, and on a particularly rough day, I called her out on her BS. I went ahead and called the franchisors and told them everything of what she was doing. A few days later, district manager calls me aside and tells me that she suggests that I find another job elsewhere and that she could pull some strings. Well, I did exactly just that, and I found a new job, without her help, of course. I gave my franchisors my notice, and on my very last day, horrible district manager was demoted to my former position and was given a huge pay cut. Dang, that was very reminiscent of my Blockbuster video days. On my 5th year there, they hired the district manager from a local video chain they bought out. Well, he got all his favorite jobs in the local stores and started firing everyone in management. He was often complained about to higher-ups, but it fell on deaf ears. I had never been written up, and I was the assistant store manager at the time. I knew the writing was on the wall, for I saw friends get fired and friends quitting left and right. I opened one day and my drawer counted down wrong by $31 and some odd cents. The counter was one of his managers brought in. I searched and searched, looking around the drawer for it. I knew it had to be a check, as the customer was a regular, and she wrote a check every time she came in. DM fired me the next day for not reporting it to him. The check showed up the next day, lodged in the drawer behind the till, which I checked there, and there was no way to get it behind there. I asked to see the footage from the registers and was denied since I was fired. It was actually a good thing I was fired, for the stress was gone. I had a new job within days. I called loss prevention for Blockbuster to review the tapes and told them my story. They looked at all the firings and turnover and launched an investigation. The DM was fired within a month, and they offered everyone their old jobs back, to which nobody took them up on the offer, for they couldn't back us when we complained about him before. Am I the jerk for being annoyed boyfriend is home on my day off? Title is a bit weird, but let me explain. So my boyfriend and I both work the day shift, so we're both home after 6 p.m. We have our days off set up so that he's off Saturday and Sundays, and I'm off Sundays and Mondays. We each get one day off to ourselves to just be alone and do our own thing, and then one day off together so we can do whatever we want as well. My boyfriend and I have fairly different hobbies. We split doing his and my things together throughout the week. He's really into fitness and working out and always being active. I'm a pretty strong gamer and enjoy special effects and more indoor and less sweaty things. So he stayed up stupid late last night and called into work this morning. 9 out of 10 times I wouldn't care, but it's Monday. It's my only day to myself, and he is constantly bugging me to go work out with him or go on a hike or generally to just be active because he's bored. Again, 9 out of 10 times wouldn't matter to me, and I'd spend a few hours doing whatever he wanted. I need this day to just be quiet and dark and me time. I am 100% on the opposite end of a social person. I just want my one day to be alone, to recuperate for the week. I look forward to this one day the entire week. I'm definitely annoyed and definitely showing it, even though I'm trying not to. I've tried explaining this. I've tried being nice and just telling him I need some me time, and he's just not listening. I pretty much snapped and told him to just leave me alone for a bit, and now he's sulking in the living room. Am I the jerk? This keeps coming up. It's not a one-off. He does call in about one Monday a month, sometimes two. His job allows this as long as they are ahead of schedule. This is why I say 9 out of 10 times I do not care and can usually be alone on these days. We still spend the evening together. when he'd usually be home from work. We split our hobbies together as well. I bike, hike, work out 3 to 4 days a week, and he plays games and lets me cover him with makeup. It's not like we don't do things together. Not the jerk. This may not be a popular opinion, but as an introvert with a partner who also works from home full-time, I need my time. You have every right to want your own time without him trying to get you to do stuff with him when he called into work for staying up too late, not even because he was genuinely ill, and it should have been your day to relax and recover. Totally agree. OP is not the jerk. I dated a guy like OP's significant other. Every single moment not working had to be spent attached at the hip. Kids and pets aren't even as clingy as this guy was. It was like I was his sole source of entertainment, and he had no clue how to entertain himself. He had to be in the same room as me at all times. I couldn't even go to the gym on my own without him sulking. No, wasn't meeting anyone there. I just preferred music to trying to hold a conversation while working out. I was very much like OP and very possessive of my one day off to myself. I dealt with the public in my job. It was very mentally exhausting. When I was dating my husband, I asked him once what he would do if I didn't feel like watching a movie and went into a different room to read a book. His answer? He'd leave me to the book and ask if I wanted a refill on my coffee when he finished the movie. The ex would stop the movie and follow me, talking nonstop. Wasn't even following me to read a book himself. I found that I was less possessive of my me time with my husband because I knew I would get it without a sulking toddler theatrics. Even unexpected days off. I now work from home. He'll ask if I have to work that day, and if I do, he leaves me be during the day and entertains himself in the house or putters around in the workshop. Even if I don't, he asks what my plans were for the day over breakfast. Sometimes we do stuff together. Other times, woodshop puttering. Not the jerk. The fact that you asked him to give you space and he won't respect that boundary puts him in the wrong here. OMG, so not the jerk. If my husband disturbed my regularly scheduled introvert in her whole time, I would be a mess too. I call these times my goblin hours. You deserve your goblin hours too. Not the jerk, and I seriously hope you reconsider your relationship with this pain in the backside. I've dated guys like this too, and it's a major red flag when they try to get you to do dumb things like working out, hiking, etc. I'd rather browse Reddit any day than do any of that crap. The reason this is such a red flag is because it shows he has zero respect for you, and he's also totally insecure and unwilling to do things himself and leave you alone. Just be upfront with him. Look, boyfriend, I know you like to waste your time at the gym and being outside, but I want nothing to do with that. I have video games and Reddit. I don't need any of your stupid hobbies. Honestly, it breaks my heart how many loser guys are out there acting like your boyfriend. Really hope you reconsider staying with this monster. You deserve so much better. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her boyfriend? Please let us know. I know how you feel. Reddit boy makes me sit in here listening to him read stories all day. I wish I could be somewhere free, not sitting here thinking Cancel all of my services? Okay. I had worked at a telecommunications store for a few years, and as someone who has worked in all sorts of retail, I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that telco has the worst customers. But every now and then, you get back at the worst by giving them exactly what they want. We had a local small business owner that had several services with us. Mobile phones, broadband, landlines, the works. He thought that since he had a lot of services, it meant that he could do what he wanted, and the rules did not apply to him. This included getting behind on his bills, complaining about late fees, and absolutely losing it if any services were suspended or restricted. Bear in mind that this only happens after 3 months of overdue bills. If any of these were to happen, he would stomp in, yell, and carry on. Now, in a lot of telco stores, we are just that, stores. We can only do very little when it comes to accounts, especially business accounts. I know it's ridiculous, and if we had the capabilities to do even a few account things in the store, it would have made so many people's lives easier. So we would process a payment and then call up the accounts department to reinstate the services or unrestrict them. One week in particular, he came in, all smiles and shaking hands. He didn't even mind waiting in line for the people in before him to be served. Normally, he would storm up to any consultant, even if they were with customers already being served. I had the luck of being the first one free to serve him. He goes on a long speech about how he's expanding his business and needs several new phones for his new staff he's hiring. I congratulate him and go about the process of getting them activated. We hit a problem early on. Surprise, surprise, he has overdue bills, and the system cannot apply new services to an account that is overdue. This does not mean a bill has been issued. It means it's past its due date. He's livid, saying he needs those services. I get on the phone with the accounts team, and they're willing to waive the default wait time of 3 business days after an account is settled before applying new services. He wasn't having a bar of it, and he said he wants the services and will not be paying a cent today. I inform him that it simply cannot be done. Literally impossible in our system to do it. He starts yelling, saying that he wants to cancel his services and take them elsewhere. I tell him that that's not something we can do in store, and he will need to contact the business accounts department, and they can assist him in moving his services elsewhere. He stomps off, and I thought this would be the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. The very next day, as soon as the store opens, he's in there waiting, red-faced and on the warpath. Being the most senior person during the shift, I deal with him. He yells about being on the phone for ages, being told they advise not to cancel, but to go to another telco and port his services. I'm guessing they didn't explain it too well, as porting means to transfer your services to another provider, keeping the same numbers and having minimal, if any, interruption of service. I explained to him very plainly about what porting meant and that all he needed to do was go to another carrier, sign up his services, give them the numbers he wants brought over, and once they do, we automatically cancel his services on our end once the other provider takes ownership. Simple, right? Wrong. He refused to leave the store until his services were canceled. Time for my malicious compliance. While it wasn't something we could do in-store, we had manual paperwork for lots of things in case of systems going down, compatibility issues, etc. So I go through our internal server to find manual paperwork for accounts and service cancellations and print it off, filling everything out in it ready to go. I request 2 forms of ID, which I need to photocopy, that needs to be attached to the paperwork and get him to sign, informing him in no uncertain terms that if he goes ahead with this, his services will be deactivated within 2 business days and will no longer function. He was fine with this, saying once that happened, he would go elsewhere. He signed, and I went about contacting accounts, faxing the paperwork through, and they processed it all and forwarded me the confirmation for our in-store records. 2 days later, I once again open the store, and he's there waiting, red-faced, and the second he sees me, starts screaming at me that none of his services are working and his company cannot get anything done. No phones, no internet, etc., and that he's going to sue us for lost income and everything else. I go out the back and pull out the paperwork, going over it with him, going over what I told him the other day. He no longer has any services with us. They are now canceled, and he will be unable to sign up for any new services or potentially reactivate any services until his overdue account is paid. I take him to a computer and try to access his account, showing him it no longer exists on our end, and there is literally nothing I can do. He gets up angry but defeated and leaves yelling we have now lost a big customer. Hadn't we already? Am I the jerk for refusing to invite a childhood friend to my birthday? My birthday is in a few weeks. My mom and I went out for Bloody Marys yesterday and ran into someone she used to be friends with. I'll call her Wendy. Wendy has a daughter, Lenny, and when I was a kid, I was forced to be friends with Lenny. Apparently, we're the same age, but she always acted babyish, which kind of annoyed me. When I was like 12-ish, I stopped going when my mom would do stuff with them. Well, she stopped dragging me along. Wendy started going on and on about how she can't believe how her daughter and I are both grown now. My mom said, yeah, my birthday is coming up, and I can't believe how old she is. Wendy asked if I was doing anything for my birthday. I assumed she was just making conversation, so I said meeting with some friends and going to different bars. Then she said, well, Lenny just moved back to town and is looking to meet people. Maybe she can meet with you on your birthday. I just said, I'm not sure where we'll be and when, so she said, then give me your number and I'll give it to Lenny so she can call or text you to see where you are. I said, nah, that's okay. Maybe some other time. Really hoping she'd take a hint. She said, no, this is perfect. Meet up with an old friend and meet new people. Just give me your number. I sort of sighed and said, look, I don't really want her to go. When we were kids and I was forced to hang out with her, I don't consider her a childhood friend. Wendy looked at my mom, and my mom said, You weren't really forced, just encouraged. Wendy said, "Sorry, I was just trying to help you guys reconnect. Lenny doesn't have many people to hang out with since all her old friends moved on. Have a good birthday," then walked away. My mom said I was unnecessarily rude and should have just given her my number and not answered her call or text if I didn't want Lenny there. I feel like I was trying to be nice about it and she didn't get it, so I had to be blunt. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. You tried to discourage it twice. Wendy kept pushing. Yeah, ideally, Mom would have stepped in and redirected here before it got to the point where your only choice was to be awkward and make it clear that no invite would be forthcoming. Not the jerk. Leading her on and then ghosting her would have just made it worse. It wouldn't have ended things either, I'm sure. The mother would eventually ask about it again, and it would be brought up in conversation, and then you'd have to lie again. There's no use. I think it was brave and smart of you to just be honest. Everyone sucks here. Wendy certainly is a jerk for not taking the extremely obvious hint. Your mom for pushing boundaries then and now, but you were rude by saying, "I don't want her to," and "we were forced to hang out as kids." While blunt, you could have just been like, "No thank you, our plans and group is set." Slight, you're the jerk. I understand that you want a nice birthday celebration with just your friends, but I feel like the mom was kind of pointing more in the direction of, "My daughter just moved back and is alone and is having difficulty finding friends again," than trying to demand an invitation to your birthday party from you. You could have easily said, "Sure, give me her number, and I'll see if I can invite her to a party or something, and maybe help her out." Even if you didn't like her when you were 12, people do change, and meeting up once wouldn't hurt anyone. I moved around a lot, and the first few months and weeks are always lonely and slow. The mom meant well, and even if it's a bit awkward, it's a great way to help someone out who is struggling to adjust after moving back. Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk or not? Please let us know. I would have been even more brutally honest with her. "Sorry, Wendy, but I never liked your daughter and don't want to have anything to do with her. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.